Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today we're going to be discussing two different lines from the Joann's Big Twist line. Sorry about the lighting and the reflection here, but I got a ton of light pouring in through my window all of a sudden, and I have no idea why. Uh, I can't seem to get good lighting on off days from filming. I normally film at the same time every day, every week, and I guess I just naturally had picked the best time down here. But anyway, we're going to be looking at the Big Twist Cotton and the Big Twist Renewal yarns. So the first part's going to actually be pretty basic, quick, and easy. Big Twist Cotton's basically Premier Home Cotton. I see no difference in it. They have the same names. They have very similar looking labels now. They're made in the same place. They come in the same yardages, everything else. I think Joann's tends to put things on a slightly deeper sale than Premier does on the regular. However, Premier, when they put it on sale, sometimes it's that really good sale once a year. So I know a lot of people have issues with it splitting. It's 80%. 85% cotton, 15% polyester. I really like that blend. I think it holds up a little bit longer. It's a little bit more color fast. If you're bleaching your dishcloths and stuff, you know, you're obviously going to have the color kind of leach out of it anyway. But I think it does hold up just a little bit better than a 100% cotton dishcloth cotton. So I've actually moved all of my peaches and cream, sugar and cream yarns more or less out of my stash. I've used most of them up completely and replaced, if I have cotton yarns, with the Premier Home Cotton. I find it just works really well. Now, if you do have issues with splitting, which I know is a common thing people have mentioned with the Premier Home Cotton and the Joann's Big Twist Cotton, I would recommend changing the style of hook head that you use, or trying to hold your hook slightly differently so you're not catching individual strands. I personally use Clover Amore hooks, generally in a size H or I, but I know, and particularly I used to have a whole lot of splitting when I was using the Susan Bates hooks. I would recommend trying to change the hook you use, or ever so slightly altering the way you hold your hook as you draw through. You're doing your yarn over draw through. If you're like me and do it one swoosh motion, I would definitely recommend trying to alter that ever so slightly so you're twisting your hook just a little bit as you're trying to grab that yarn and pull it through. I really don't have much of an issue with splitting, even with fairly splitty yarns. I mean, if I mention something is splitty, it's really splitty because I almost rotate my hook with my fingers as I'm working, especially when I get up to speed. I know that's not always apparent in things like tutorials because I'm having to basically bear hug my camera setup so you can see my hands. But when you do that slight twist with your fingers as you're doing your yarn over and drawing it through, it really gets it under the hook head and draws it through. But just changing the style of hook a lot of times can help with that. But I really don't find it to be any more splitty than any other dishcloth cotton. It is what it is. It is a slightly looser twist to the plying, but not to where it should be any worse than any other cotton. So yes, it's a perfectly fine dishcloth cotton to use. It's already the dishcloth cotton I prefer using. It is Premier Home Cotton. Just hands down. Now, the Renewal is a 100% acrylic yarn, and this is from 100% recycled acrylic fibers. And a lot of people wanted to know how I felt about it. So, I don't know what the actual sustainability rating for this is. That's not the kind of thing I ever see the sustainability ratings for. So when they say recycled acrylic, I don't know if they're having to hyper process it. So they're dumping a lot of chemicals into the water system. I don't know if, this is just like leftover stuff that they're smushing together. Like recycled sari silk has almost zero added environmental impact. But, polyesters and acrylics don't degrade like other fibers. So keeping the fibers out of our trash system is always going to be the better option. As far as this yarn goes, it's okay. I mean, it's just okay. It is a machine wash, air dry fiber. It's not coarse. It's not itchy. There's no, up here, you're fine with it. There's nothing like that. I am not entirely sure how this will wash and wear over extended periods of time, though. There is a very faint halo to it. I'm not sure if the camera, you can kind of see it like right there. It's not so bad where I'd say, oh, never use this yarn or don't. I think it'd be fine for things like, like a baby play mat. I did a shawl, obviously, out of it. Things that aren't going to get rubbed a whole lot, like the underarms of a sweater or something, or aren't going to be heavily machine washed constantly. I think it'll be fine. It does have a weird feel on the hands, though. And this is something I've said about other yarns in the past, like the Ice Magic Baby yarn and the Lion brand ice cream yarns. It doesn't dry your hands out, but it feels really dry running through your fingers. It doesn't feel prickly or pokey, or it's not hard to manage to where like you're getting rubbed spots on your fingers where you're tensioning your yarn or anything like that. But it does have this artificial dry feeling as it's running through your fingers. And that can be kind of unusual to work with. It's not satiny. It's not totally matte. It's kind of an in-between texture. It's not hyper aerated and floofy feeling, even though in the ball you would think it's going to be very squishy, but it's not. It does have a lot of spring to it, though. I mean, there is a lot of stretch and spring in this fiber. So I like it. Strange sounds upstairs. I like it. It's not that I dislike this yarn. When it's on its really good sale, I would say it's definitely worth picking up. It is a size 3 yarn. It's just unusual. It's a slightly unusual texture. It's in between what I would say, like my favorite acrylics are like the Knit Picks Brava, the Premier Anti-Pilling collection. I mean, every one of the Premier Anti-Pilling yarns have a beautiful satiny movement through your fingers, but it's kind of between that and Red Heart Super Saver. It's not as coarse feeling as Red Heart Super Saver unwashed. Working with it is, like I said, it's not a prickly feeling. It's not a pokey feeling. It's not a coarse feeling in your hand. But it's not as squishy as you would expect it to be. It's not as soft as you would expect it to be. There's another yarn many years ago that used to be on the market that this reminded me of, and I can't remember the name of it. It's something that I used to be able to pick up at Michael's a lot. And it might be like the rebranded Jamie yarns from Lion Brand, the Baby Jamie. It's got that same almost sticky feeling. It's that artificial dryness. It almost feels sticky, but not like sticky. It's weird. It's unusual, but it did work up really nicely. I think with a steaming, this is going to have a beautiful drape. In a shawl, I'm really not worried about steaming it out or anything because the care instructions say don't put it in the dryer. I did not do a wash and dry test. I just finished the project and gave you so I could give you a review on working with the yarn. It's in the finished project, not unsquishy, because it does have so much bounce that does give you a little bit of give in your stitches. This is a double crochet, so it is also a lighter stitch to begin with. I did use the size 7 hook that was recommended for this yarn, which does make my shawl pattern just a little bit denser than I normally would make it, but it didn't make this shawl particularly dense. So there is enough air in it to where it's not going to be like working with a lead weight or something like that, but it is in between what I would call a squishy yarn and a durable feeling yarn. It's not going to give you that just luscious, I want to touch it and snuggle it constantly feeling. It is a little bit more of something what you want for probably more utilitarian, probably like blankets. If you don't wash your home blankets a whole lot, I would say this is fine for like a blanket. If you wanted to do like a floor mat where you really don't care if it starts to pill or anything, like a baby play mat, I mean, it's one of those, it is what it is. It lives on your floor and it gets dirty. You have to throw it in the washer and the dryer, and it's not ever going to look new again. And that doesn't matter if you buy it or make it. That's just the reality of things like play mats. So something like that, I would say this is perfectly fine for if you're looking for something luscious and sustainable. I probably would not go with this yarn. It's okay. And I mean, for the price, when you can get it on sale at Joann's, it can be very, very, very reasonably priced. So it's not that bad for something that is made out of recycled fiber. There are other benefits to this, but the pleasure in working with it is right there in the middle. It's more pleasurable than Red Heart, less pleasurable than Lion Brand and Premier acrylics or Nitpick acrylics, which we're getting more into like the premium high-end acrylics over here. I've used better, but I've used significantly worse as well. So it's just right there in the middle. Nothing really special about it except for that bounce. I do like yarns that have spring to them, because if you leave your hand relaxed while working with this type of plied yarn, it adds squish into the final project. It's like built-in squish factor if you don't pull this completely out and, tension it so hard that you're losing that bounce to the yarn. So it's got pros and it's got cons. It does come in some really nice colors. I mean, these are definitely very saturated colors. The bright coral is definitely bright. The teal is definitely a saturated teal, and the gray is a mid-tone, beautiful gray that coordinated perfectly for this project. But I would give it, a 3. I mean, it's right there in the middle. It's not horrible. It's not great. It's just right there in the middle. If you like, if you don't have a problem with that sticky, dry feeling of ice cream yarn or the Ice Baby Magic yarn, if that doesn't bother you at all, this isn't quite as peach skinny feeling, but it's got that same texture feel as you're working it. So if that really doesn't bother you, you may actually rate this closer to a 4 for a 3-weight yarn. So probably not going to buy it again. I have yarns that I love substantially more that I can buy on sale for about the same price, but not bad. I mean, if you see it and that's the color you need, it's still worth buying. It's still worth using it. It's just not what I would stash build with. This isn't something that I'm going to put in my stash and just hoard like I do other brands of yarn. I mean, I hoard Venus Choice when it's on sale. I hoard Bravo Worsted when it's on sale. I hoard a lot of the Premier yarns when I can find those on really good deals. This isn't one that I'm going to be creating a dragon sword out of. This is one that will definitely, as needed, be an option. I would keep that as an option as needed for a project. So, but for a cotton yarn, I'm not a huge dishcloth cotton person. I do find it to be very drying on my hands and stuff. The polyester in this, I do think really, really helps. And I do like the polyester also for hot pads. It helps to transfer heat into the cotton and it doesn't melt or anything like that. I mean, I guess if you're doing if you've got a 900-degree pizza oven, you might have a problem with melting, but it helps to transfer heat, but not so much that it's going to go through a hot pad. So I do even like the polyester blends for a hot pad in my kitchen. And I like the Premier Home Cotton. I think it's nice to work with. It's easier on my hands than the 100% cottons, and it doesn't burr on my fingers. So I would say the Big Twist Cotton is a yay, especially since you can find it regularly for slightly less than you can on the Premier website for the Premier Home Cotton. I would say with the Renewal yarn, it's an as needed for project, not worth stash building with. That sound fair enough? If you guys have any thoughts or opinions on these yarns, please leave them down below. As always with my reviews of yarns, I want to hear your opinion too. A lot of my subscribers do actually read the comment sections on these videos, and I think your input, if you've used these and had a different experience, is just as valid and important as my input on them. So please let me know down below if you've had any other experiences with these yarns. We've seen in the past that my experience is not always everybody else's experiences. Mandala tweed. Go back and watch. But yeah, definitely leave your opinion on these if you have used them, and let us know what you think of them as well, because it is important for us to have multiple different avenues of input. And if it's all in a condensed place with a review, that makes it easier for everybody. So I want to know, and I know other people who watch my videos are also curious to know what you think of these yarns. So please do share in the comment section down below. As always, you guys, I love you. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye, guys.